To learn the good, the bad, and the reality of the off-grid lifestyle, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So a couple days ago, I showed you that I concreted the well floor here. I reconcreted, I should say. It had a layer of concrete, but it was so old and busted up that it was no longer serving its purpose. Its purpose is to keep water from going down around what's called a well casing. So where you see the coffee can right now, that's temporary. I'm going to replace that with about a 3-foot PVC pipe. But in the meantime, I'm using that so water does not run into the hole of my well. Just below the surface there is a steel well casing that runs down the shaft of the well. Now this one only goes down about 15 feet. I guess that's how they did it in the old days. I've seen varying accounts on how it's done. Some of them go down 15 feet. Some of them go all the way down to the bedrock. I don't know what difference it makes. The one that goes down to bedrock makes more sense to me than this, but whatever. Now, what happens is, as the concrete started to break up, water was getting in between the well casing and the wall of, the dirt wall. They drilled the hole, they shoved the well casing down into the hole. As the concrete broke up, water just ran straight all the way down into the well. When I put the coffee can on, I really resolved a lot of my issues. First of all, I didn't have water just dumping right into the hole anymore. But we had a really hard storm. I bet we got, 3 inches of rain, it seemed like. It was a lot of rain. Sure enough, the water ran down the outside of the well casing down into the well. It got my well dirty again. So I poured the concrete. That seals up the outside of the well casing. Last night, we had another gully washer. Huge rainstorm. I got up this morning after it stopped raining. Then I turned on the water. I let it run for about 20 minutes, make sure I could get a good sample of well water, and the water was clean. So this is really good news that the concrete floor has worked, keeping the water out. So my next step when it comes to water will be a filtration system better than what I already have. Right now, what I do is I filter water through this. So it comes out of the well into this filter, and then I just put it straight into the IBC tank. The filter I have been using is just a Walmart carbon filter. Works pretty good, 5 microns. Well, I've been really doing some research on how to properly filter well water. And what I need to do is I need to just buy more of these. Then I will use a 10 micron filter when I bring water into the IBC tank. So it comes from the well to the IBC tank. Then when it comes out of the IBC tank and into the house, see, I currently run it through this RV pump and through that hose and into the house. Then I'll have another one of these. This time I will use a 5 micron non-carbon filter. That'll be great for showers and just general cleaning, just water, whatever you need. So now, I've taken out the 10 microns and now I'm going to take out the 5 microns. Then for drinking water, coffee water, I will run it through this filter lastly. So I'll have 3, basically what I'll do is I'll have 3 of these. One before it comes in the tank, 10 micron, one that comes out of the tank, 5 micron, and then one for drinking water. Then my final step will be my Berkey water filtration system. Everything we drink goes through the Berkey. It doesn't matter if it comes out of a stream or a well or city water. So I wanted to answer some questions that I've gotten recently. I don't get to do this very often, especially with how busy we've been. One of the questions, when Carolyn and I get old and we're living in this 200 square foot house, it's just going to be too small for us. We're going to need nursing aids, wheelchairs. What are we going to do? To me, this just doesn't seem like a big deal. I mean, I understand what you're saying. What it is, it's 1/3 of a mobile home. I think it's quite large and I'm quite happy with it. So, just kind of give you an idea, we need a bedroom, a kitchen, maybe a bath area here, and then kind of a living area over in that corner. And there's plenty of room. We will eventually put a porch on, and Carolyn's been talking about maybe doing cooking outside even during cold weather on the back porch. That would free up a kitchen area. That would do really well. So we've actually kind of rearranged our thought process. Maybe put the kitchen here, for like dishes and that kind of thing. So she can just walk out and do her cooking. bedroom back here. The only problem with that is now where we put the door. You know, we got to think about the door. But once we figure out how to get the doors installed, this shouldn't be any big deal at all. The other thing is when you minimize your space, you learn how to live within the space. So for example, right now our bed is our couch in our camper. I don't suspect that we'll change that very much. I think a lot of a big house is wasted space. Then of course now we can always put a ramp, build a porch out here, you know, if we need a wheelchair. So then I was asked the question, how will I attach my wall to the floor? I said that I'm going to use 2x6s for my wall and 2x4s for the floor, which I've already done the floor. Well, this is just kind of simple carpentry. I understand that, you know, a lot of people don't understand carpentry and you're getting excited that you want to jump ahead, so I can answer the question. So the next step is I'm going to lay insulation down in between these floor joists, okay? Once I have the insulation down, then I'm going to lay plywood down. That will be my floor. So once the plywood is down, okay, then all you're going to do is lay a board right here, top of the plywood. You got to imagine there's plywood. And then you're just going to put studs at every floor joist like this, right on top of that board. So this right here is what is screwed down right here. You just put a screw right down there. All right, electric. Our house is going to be powered by solar panels. I don't want to make this too complicated today because, you know, this is a question and answer video. Right now, my solar panels are all the way down there next to the camper. I am not going to move them. I think I'm going to leave them there. I might move them because of the shade in the day, but I'm going to watch the sun throughout the year. But now the inverter, which inverts DC electric, battery, you know, from your vehicle, kind of electric, into AC electric, the stuff you use inside your house. So I have an inverter inside my camper now. Then I am going to pretend that the camper is basically a power station. Once I get the house built, and I'm going to run a power line up in the air, just like all other power lines, all the way to the house. So I'm going to run like an 8-gauge wire, is what I guess, from the camper to the house. And I'm going to run it right into a stand. You know, you see them on the house all the time. They come up here, they stand up real tall, and the wires come in. I'm going to do the same thing. And then I'm going to run that right through a breaker box in the house. So once you're inside the house, or heck, even outside the house, it's going to be identical to what a regular house is like. If anything ever happens to me, Carolyn can hire an electrician to take the inverter wire off and run a line to the power pole. That's all it's going to take. I might just run the line myself, and that way if anything ever happens, you know, we can just call an electrician, they can take the wire off from the inverter and attach it to the house. Which leads me to the final question. And this question comes from a firefighter. And the firefighter told me that I need to identify where my batteries are in the house, so if the fire department ever comes, they know how to shut off the batteries. They won't have to. The batteries are going to be way down there. No big deal. If they want to shut off the power to the house, they can just cut the line just like they do to any other house, I would assume. Now, secondly, there's no guarantee that I would call the fire department. That's how independent I am. I've had a house fire before. Actually, I've been in 3 house fires. And the last one, I was a grown adult. I was in my 30s. And the electric box caught on fire, the breaker box. So the entire breaker box closet had caught on fire. Now, in the breaker box closet was also the water main, the water that came and supplied the entire house. So when it caught on fire, it melted the PVC main. So I didn't have any water in the house. So I woke up at 2 a.m. and I saw that it was on fire. I woke my wife up and I grabbed the dog bowl, the water bowl for the dogs, and I splashed the water up on the fire, and it primarily put it out in one splash. My wife yells at me and says, "Do you want me to call the fire department?" And I said, "No, because they'll just come in and tear up the house. And then we'll have to file an insurance claim, then they're coming in and doing inspections, and it's going to be a big ordeal. I'll take care of this myself." Well, remember, I didn't have any water in the house, but I did have water outside in the garden hose. So I shut the inlet valve to the house, shutting off the water that was spraying all over in the electric closet. And I put the fire out myself. It was up in the attic. I put it all out and I did all right. Well, that's what the same thing I'll do here. If this thing burns down, it's not that big of a deal to me. So many folks are so concerned that if it burns down, you're not going to have insurance. And now the fire department wants to get involved. Unless I'm not home and somebody else calls the fire department, I would never call the fire department. It just causes more headaches in my mind than if you just do it yourself. Now, that being said, I am not suggesting that anybody do that. If you feel like you need to call the fire department, call the fire department. But my independent nature is, if it's my fire, it's my responsibility. Thanks for watching.